Anthropic, the company literally founded on the promise of safe, honest AI, just got sued over something that feels like the opposite of transparency. Claude Max, their premium subscription tier, is at the center of a lawsuit that alleges the service isn't delivering what paying customers expect. Here's the core claim. The usage limits are so restrictive that people paying for premium access are getting worse service than they'd get from free tiers or competitors. Think about it like buying first-class airline tickets and then being told you only get to make one flight per month. The lawsuit raises a question that matters right now for everyone with a ChatGPT subscription, a Claude subscription, or any AI service they're paying for monthly. What does premium actually mean? When you pay extra, you expect better performance, faster responses, fewer restrictions, not restrictions so tight your paid tier becomes unusable. The real significance here isn't just about Anthropic. Every AI company is watching this case because it could reshape the entire subscription model for artificial intelligence services. If undisclosed or deceptive usage limits become a legal liability, pricing structures across the entire industry could change overnight. And that's where this story gets genuinely interesting. Before we dive into the lawsuit, let's establish what Claude Max actually is. Anthropic launched Claude Max as their top-tier subscription option, the premium tier above the free version and the standard Claude subscription. The idea was straightforward. If you pay more, you get access to Anthropic's most capable AI model with better performance and fewer limitations. That's the promise. That's what customers expected when they signed up. Claude has become increasingly popular over the past year, especially among professionals, researchers, and companies that rely on AI for serious work. The free version is limited. You get fewer requests, slower response times, and you hit rate limits fairly quickly. Move up to a paid tier, and you're supposed to get something genuinely different. More requests per hour, faster processing, and the ability to do sustained, heavy work. Claude Max was positioned as the ultimate tier, the one for power users, developers, and anyone doing serious business with Claude. The company explicitly marketed it as their best offering, their most capable model with the least friction. So when customers paid the premium price for this tier, they had a reasonable expectation. This will let me use Claude heavily without hitting walls constantly. But according to the lawsuit, that's exactly what didn't happen. And that's the real problem here. The lawsuit gets right to the point. Anthropic's usage limits on Claude Max are, according to the plaintiffs, undisclosed or misleading. The claim isn't that usage limits shouldn't exist. Every service has infrastructure limits. The claim is that the limits are so aggressive and so poorly disclosed that paying customers can't use the service as advertised. Some of the allegations specifically mention that users hit throttling, the service slows to a crawl within minutes of starting to use it. Imagine paying premium rates and then discovering your access gets choked off faster than basic users. That's the core frustration here. The legal theory is essentially false advertising. You advertise a premium service as unlimited or unrestricted, but the reality is it's heavily limited. The customers feel cheated because they paid for something with the expectation of heavy usage and got something closer to a light tier. Now here's what makes this legally interesting. In normal consumer markets, this would be a straightforward consumer protection case. But in the AI world, it's murkier. AI services are new. Expectations are still being formed. There's no established precedent for what unlimited means in the context of an AI subscription. So this lawsuit isn't just about money, it's about establishing the legal standard for what companies can promise and how tightly they can secretly limit those promises. That's why every AI company is paying attention. Let's talk about what this actually feels like for users. A software developer might wake up, pay for Claude Max, and want to do a day's work. They fire up the interface, send their first prompt, get a response. Send another prompt, still good. But then, within 5 or 6 requests, something changes. The system starts slowing down. Responses that used to take 20 seconds now take 2 minutes. Or they get an explicit message. You've hit your usage limit for this hour. Come back later. For a developer paying premium rates and expecting to use Claude continuously throughout the day, this is maddening. They are literally paying for access they can't use. Or consider a researcher using Claude to help analyze data and write papers. They're paying premium prices because they expected heavy usage. Instead, they're hitting walls constantly. They could do the same work on a competitor's service for less money and with fewer restrictions. That's the user experience driving this lawsuit. It's not just disappointment, it's feeling like you've been deceived about what you're buying. And here's what makes it especially damaging to Anthropic's brand. The company positions itself as the honest, transparent AI company. They emphasize safety, responsibility, and ethical practices. Then customers experience something that feels the opposite of transparent, restrictions they didn't fully understand when they signed up. That contradiction is what fuels consumer anger and, ultimately, lawsuits. So how does this compare to what competitors are doing? ChatGPT Pro, OpenAI's premium offering, also has usage limits. But OpenAI is explicit about them. You get something like 100 messages per 3 hours on the latest model. It's transparent. You know what you're getting. You know the restrictions going in. Google's Gemini Advanced has usage limits too, but again, Google is upfront about them in their documentation. The difference between Anthropic and these competitors seems to be transparency and expectation setting. When you buy ChatGPT Pro, you're not under the illusion you get unlimited access. The limits are clearly disclosed. You know roughly how many requests you can fire off before hitting a wall. That doesn't make usage limits acceptable to everyone. Plenty of people still complain about them. But at least there's no surprise. There's no feeling of being deceived. With Claude Max, according to the lawsuit, users felt blindsided. The marketing suggested or implied something closer to unlimited access, or at least failed to clearly explain how restrictive the limits actually are. That's the core difference. The lawsuit isn't arguing that AI services shouldn't have limits. It's arguing that if you're going to have limits, especially aggressive ones, you have to tell customers upfront. You can't hide them in terms of service or let customers believe they are buying something they are not. This comparison matters because it shows the industry that transparency isn't just ethically better, it's legally safer. If Anthropic loses or settles this lawsuit, the implications ripple across the entire AI industry. First, it establishes that you can't mislead users about usage limits, even implicitly. Every AI company with a subscription model suddenly needs to audit whether their marketing is transparent about restrictions. Second, it might set a precedent that unlimited actually has to mean something close to unlimited, or you can't use the word. If you're going to have aggressive limits, you need to market it honestly as a limited tier. Third, and most importantly, it raises the question of liability. If the court determines that Anthropic's usage limits constituted false advertising, suddenly every AI startup with a subscription model is at risk of similar lawsuits. That changes the business strategy entirely. You move from how tightly can we limit users without them noticing to what can we actually offer and how do we describe it honestly. The financial impact could be significant too. If Anthropic has to issue refunds to Claude Max subscribers, that's real money. If they have to change their pricing structure to be more honest about what users actually get, that affects revenue. Other companies might preemptively settle lawsuits or restructure their tiers before they end up in court. Honestly, this lawsuit could reshape subscription models across the AI industry, forcing companies to be more honest about what premium actually means and what limitations are genuinely baked into their infrastructure. If you're currently a Claude Max subscriber, here's what you should know and what you might consider doing. First, document everything. If you're hitting usage limits, take screenshots. Keep records of when you hit throttling, how many requests you're actually able to make in a day, and what your experience has been. This documentation is valuable if you become part of a class action lawsuit. Second, check the terms of service carefully. See what Anthropic actually promises about Claude Max. Compare it to what you're experiencing. If you feel misled, that's worth noting. Third, consider whether Claude Max is worth it for you right now. If you're constantly hitting limits and getting frustrated, you might be better off either using the standard Claude tier, switching to a competitor, or using free tiers strategically. There's no loyalty bonus for sticking with a service that's not meeting your needs. Fourth, if you do want to stay with Anthropic, but feel like the current offering isn't fair, you have options. Some users have had success requesting refunds from their credit card company by claiming the service didn't deliver as advertised. That's sometimes called a chargeback, And credit card companies do take it seriously if you can document that a service didn't deliver what was promised. Fifth, watch this lawsuit. The outcome will set the standard for AI subscriptions going forward. Here's what this lawsuit actually comes down to at the highest level: trust. Anthropic built their entire brand on the idea that they are different, that they care about safety, transparency, and doing things the right way. The irony of being sued for misleading customers about a premium product is that it contradicts that whole brand promise. Whether or not Anthropic intended to deceive anyone, the result is the same. Customers feel deceived, and their trust is damaged. That's a bigger problem for Anthropic than the legal costs. Once you lose customer trust, rebuilding it is incredibly hard. The second thing this lawsuit reveals is that the AI industry is finally maturing to the point where consumers expect the same protections they get from every other industry. You can't hide restrictions in small print anymore. You can't advertise premium without delivering something genuinely premium. The days of move fast and break things in the AI subscription space are ending. Companies that built their models around misleading limitations are going to face consequences. That's actually good for consumers. It means the AI tools you're paying for are going to get more transparent, more honest, and ultimately more trustworthy. Watch for updates on this case. The outcome will reshape not just Anthropic's pricing, but possibly the entire industry. And if you're using any AI subscription right now, pay attention to what your money actually gets you. Transparency matters. It's what we should expect from companies handling tools as powerful as AI.